Hi, I'm Tina C, and today I'm interviewing Tamale. Thank you for being with me today.
Excellent, thanks for having me.
So tell me about how you got into comedy.
So I was studying agriculture at the University of Arizona and joined an improv group when I was in undergrad, and it changed my life, and I decided to move to Chicago and pursue improv, specifically improv comedy, and started performing, taking classes, interning, immersed myself in the improv scene here, and loved it. Definitely was something that I wanted to do with my life. And then I was in the queer scene as well, and there was a burlesque show that started up called the Sissy Butch Brothers Burlesque Show, and it was back in the day. It was every 6 months, and I saw a burlesque show, and I just got really sidetracked by pretty ladies, and that's what happened. And then I was like, I need to be involved in this, and so I immersed myself in that, in the burlesque scene, which then led to connections with the drag scene, which then led to connections with traveling internationally and performing with gender performance, and picking up belly dancing and picking up fire dancing, and just like really getting to explore all these different circles and all of these different communities of people, and all the while doing comedy, hosting shows, creating shows, doing stand-up. It took on a far larger context than just being a stand-up comedian or writing sketches or doing improv. It was like this all comedy, but also all these other communities. And as time passed, it just I did my MFA in interdisciplinary arts and media, and so I combined all of those. And in the last year or so, I've really taken on just kind of creating my own version of a comedy show. So a multidisciplinary, multi-community based comedy show.
What do you think makes comedy different in Chicago as opposed to other cities? Obviously, we have Second City, and we have a lot of different comedians that come out of Chicago. So maybe you can just tell me a little bit how that experience has been for you.
The experience for me has been that I'm really grateful to have explored improv comedy in Chicago. As far as improv goes, I think Chicago's got it nailed. The community here in Chicago for improv comedy is just super passionate, and you can get stage time, and you can watch your friends, and you can watch professionals and masters, the craft. It's just, Chicago is where you go for improv, in my opinion. And granted, New York, Chicago, LA, they're all big comedy hubs. Being very large cities, they're huge comedy hubs. And I feel like the experience for me has been that I haven't, I've definitely spent time in each of those communities in Chicago, like the stand-up and, improv and different types of comedy communities in Chicago. But I feel very lucky in the sense that a lot of people, when they're starting out in comedy, have to do tons of open mics, and that's where they get to cut their teeth. And I had the very lucky experience of cutting my teeth on comedy in a nurturing environment where I'm hosting gender performance shows, and people are just so darn excited to be there to begin with, that it's, you're trying out your bits and you're doing things, and they're really generous audiences. So, when you start kind of immersing yourself into the strictly stand-up scene, it's a different audience. Sure. But still, with its own quirks, and there are a lot of positives to that too, because you get sharper and tighter with your work. So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Is there anything specific, being a queer comedian with the improv, that you feel might be different than being a straight comedian, or was it like even performing in straight communities for you?
Frankly, a good performer is a good performer, and it doesn't matter, race, gender, orientation of any kind. It doesn't matter. Like, a good performer will stand out no matter what. So it's really great to see people just being excellent at whatever the thing is that they do. My experience with that has been that if you're a good performer, and if you're interesting and you respect people, however that comes out in your work, if you're interesting to watch, you're going to do great.
So I know you have your performance coming up, Brass Chuckles.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me a little bit what that's about and how that's different from other comedy shows here in Chicago?
There are a lot of different kinds of comedy shows in Chicago, and I found that if you're going to like a stand-up show, it's often a lineup with strictly stand-up comedians. You can go to an improv show and see a series of improv teams play, a solid slate of improvisers. What I love about the show that I'm creating is that I come from a lot of different communities, and so this is a way to showcase the people in those communities, the experiences that are unique to each of those communities, and doing it in a really playful, fun way.
Forward. Chevy. Forward. Chevy. Forward. Chevy. Forward. Chevy. See the resolution of this argument and more
at Brass Chuckles Comedy Show. It's Friday, October 5th, 10 p.m. Playground Theater.
BYOB.
It's also multidisciplinary, so there are videos, there's improv, there's stand-up, there are bizarre performances, we have, live lit readings, we have, it's a really nice conglomeration of different performances, different performance styles, but all funny.
Excellent, so a bit of a variety show, you'd say?
It is like a variety show. I think of variety shows as like a lineup with different people who come in and kind of have their separate thing that they do, whereas I want to build my show to be more of a team effort. So here's something else that's really, I think, really interesting that I'm trying to build more into the show. Because it's multidisciplinary, meaning that we have videos and, we sort of play with our audience a little bit. It's, they're definitely there, and we acknowledge them, and it's, one of the things I really look forward to doing is incorporating more of like a media interaction with our audience. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that can come to fruition in the future.
Is there anything else that you want to specifically touch on, specifically cover?
I just want to invite people to come out and see the show because it's different from what is a lot of Chicago has to offer. It's kind of like the touchstone from all these different communities, and when people attend the show, they can see sort of the rock stars of different communities being showcased in a comedic way here. And it's an awesome show to see. And I know I'm biased because I produce it, but it is really awesome, and the people in it are fantastic. Yeah. So I feel very blessed to have them partake.
Well, not only are you producing it, you're also participating. So
yes, I was like, I have way too much free time. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So, what time is the show? What days?
It is going to be, it's the first Friday of every month through January. Right now, our run goes through January. So, first Friday, it's at 10 p.m. It's only $10, and it's BYOB.
And what's the address of the theater?
It is on Halsted and Belmont. It's on the northeast corner.
It's called
Playground Theater.
Excellent. Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, and you can also find out lots of information. You can buy tickets. You can see past shows. You can see the videos that we feature in the show. They are made available on our YouTube channel, which is also embedded on our website, which is brasschucklescomedy.com.
Well, thanks for sitting down with me today.
Great.
Really appreciate
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
L-Stop. Yay!
Oh, L-Stop.